Like most of the owners of the dispensaries are white or people with money. There's little to none representation of African Americans and Latinos.
Cannabis is a multi-billion-dollar industry. 33 states plus the District of Columbia have legalized the plant medicinally, including 11 recreationally. California has been a leader in this green boom, inventing weed map apps to help locate the closest dispensaries, hosting marijuana festivals, and even cannabis vacation resorts. While it's good times for those who sell in newly minted dispensaries and give luxury cannabis tours, others who choose to sell weed on their own don't share the same experience.
Drug abuse is a repudiation of everything America is.
So, won't you join us in this great new national crusade?
The war on drugs was an effort by the government to stop the use, distribution, and trade of illegal drugs that mainly targeted communities of color. Black people are nearly 4 times more likely to be arrested for marijuana possession than white people are, according to the ACLU. Currently, there are 2.3 million people incarcerated across America. Now that marijuana sales have largely been legalized, the question of a double standard prevails. What happens to those previously and currently locked up for weed? Adam Vine is the co-founder of Cage Free Cannabis, an organization that works to repair the harms of the war on drugs. He's participated in the passings of California's Proposition 64, which legalized recreational use of marijuana in the state and allowed people with past marijuana convictions to petition to have them expunged or reduced to misdemeanors.
Weed or cannabis is becoming legal in many places. As a user who used it when it was illegal, your initial reaction is what?
On the one hand, I'm excited because people shouldn't be getting arrested for this anymore. But then when you start to look at who's going to be making money off of the industry, it becomes a troubling thing. Because we have to make sure that people who are involved in the industry, the traditional market, need to have pathways to remain involved in the industry. They should be able to still keep making money off of this. It shouldn't just be rich white guys coming in, backed by venture capital and private equity, that are able to profit off of cannabis.
For the past 10 years, Mauro Melgar has been on probation for a marijuana conviction. He now fights for a chance to get into the legal cannabis industry.
I was 18 years old and I went to jail for 2 ounces of marijuana.
What happened? Where were you?
It was Labor Day weekend. I was partying with my friends and we get pulled over and the cops like, where's the weed? And I just took the fall for it. I got caught with a gun too, and they gave me a misdemeanor for the gun, but a felony for the marijuana.
That seems backwards.
Yeah.
Why do you think that happened?
I don't know.
Talk to me about how life changes when you're a felon.
When you come out on probation, it's like basically you have a multiplier on your head. You have to drug test, register as a narcotics offender. You got to check in every month for 3 years to your probation officer. They expect you to get a job with a conviction, and that's nearly impossible. You can't be a truck driver if you have a felony. You can't get your chiropractor license. You can't work at the airport. And there's 48,000 legal barriers on people with past convictions. It's very hard to integrate back into society after coming out of jail.
In 2018, California alone made $345 million in cannabis tax revenue. Colorado collected $266.5 million in marijuana taxes and fees in 2018 after selling $1.55 billion worth of cannabis. Marijuana Business Daily reported that 81% of cannabis executives were white. In an effort to spread around the profits from this new legal weed industry, Los Angeles County announced the Social Equity Program, which offers business opportunities in the legal weed business to those in the communities that have been disproportionately affected by the war on drugs. LA County has yet to fund the program. Retail sales of medical and recreational cannabis in the United States are on pace to pass $12 billion by the end of this year. If changes to the criminal law aren't made, the very people who built the cannabis industry will miss out on cashing in on its legal profits.
Anybody could just say anything on a microphone and on camera, but when you have documentation, this is proof. It says Superior Court of California, County of Los Angeles, my name, this is the date, 10 years ago. This is basically a receipt And today it's a golden ticket. Today there's a social equity program that you have to have a marijuana conviction to qualify. This is a once in a lifetime opportunity. This has never happened. This is basically part of history. And we are the ancestors of tomorrow, so it's important, we act accordingly.
Now that program, if all goes according to plan, you'll be able to get a license and be able to legally start selling cannabis.
Hopefully, that's what I'm aiming at.
And what happens if that doesn't happen, right? Because you said the funds haven't been allocated yet.
Like, I've gone to City Hall pressing the issue on these politicians. I've been integrating Nipsey Hussle's lyrics into my speeches at City Hall. And this is basically one of my speeches that I said. Last time that I checked, I was the one hustling 7 days a week so I can sign your checks, contributing to the city and the state, despite the fact that last time that I checked, you guys tried to bury me with a felony for the past 10 years for selling weed. It's not right for some to profit and others to be punished, because last time that I checked, today you even have politicians who used to vote for prohibition profiting from the cannabis industry. It's crazy, and it's important that you guys are out here covering this, because that was censored. It wasn't published on their website.
Do you think the legalization of marijuana kind of favors a certain race of people?
Oh yeah, there's most of the owners of the dispensaries are white or people with money. There's little to none representation of African Americans and Latinos.
Now, when you see or hear of others saying, well, stop selling it illegally, people of color, why don't you just get into the legal industry and begin selling it that way? What's your reaction to that?
My reaction is that's a very naive way of thinking, sometimes purposefully naive. Entering the regulated industry requires a lot of resources. Having access to that implies that you already have that kind of money, when in reality, growing or selling weed was always a low barrier way to potentially feed your family. Asking people who are doing that to now pony up maybe $1 million to start a new business is ridiculous. That certain states have put restrictions. Just last year, the federal farm bill passed, which legalized hemp, but it had a restriction contained in it on people who have felony drug convictions.
Michael Saavedra is the legal coordinator for the Youth Justice Coalition. He uses his law knowledge to provide free citywide expungement clinics and legal advice.
So I got my record expunged for one of my very first convictions. I was a young man, and it was for possession of marijuana. And I was sentenced to 16 months state prison. 2014, they passed Prop 47, which made marijuana and other felonies misdemeanors. I went to the law library, I got the form, and I actually got a court order back from the court saying that my felony was reduced to a misdemeanor under Prop 47. So having that type of experience and helping others do the same, I started volunteering here for their expungement clinics. Space like this, where we help folks on every second and fourth Saturday, we do free legal clinics. So we just help folks in the community. It's free, so everybody can just walk in. So like over here, we have Kim McGill, who's the director of the Youth Justice Coalition. We have a Youth Justice Coalition member. And so basically people sign up, they come in, and when there's availability, they step in, they bring their court documents like this gentleman, and we go over the process of filling out the forms for their expungement. One of our clients the other day just told me that she was trying to get her real estate license, and so she was able to do so after having her record expunged. Typically it can go from like $400 to $1,500 to have their expungement done by an attorney, but here at YJC we do it for free.
How did you first learn about expungement and how you would be able to get it done?
I was scrolling down my Instagram and I saw Cage-Free Cannabis, a national expungement week. They had expungement events in different cities. And one in Inglewood, I didn't come to it because I didn't know about it because the city is not doing outreach to the community. And I went to the expungement, I went to 2 of them just to make sure my felony got expunged, and it went through.
Last year we had 18 different expungement events in 15 different cities around the US. We were able to provide free legal relief so people could begin the process of clearing or sealing their records. We helped 298 people begin the process of clearing or sealing their records. And a 2004 Stanford study shows that an expungement creates $10,000 of benefit in the first year alone per person. they can begin to get new jobs that pay better wages and hopefully start to improve their lives. But at the same time, 298 people is just the tip of the iceberg. We want to do a lot more this year. We want to have more events in more cities with more funding for more outreach and more follow-up on the back end to continue to help people restore their rights. But these processes take a certain amount of time. In some places they can take between 9 months and a year. In other states they can be processed much more quickly.
Do you feel like your life was kind of ruined by this cannabis felony?
In another way, cannabis is trying to come back into my life to save me, you know? Like, I'm hoping that I could be able to say that in the future, you know? Cannabis saved my life.